Yes, the government has lost the case of university funding model. What do they do? Well, they have not talked about appealing. And in the Kenyan system, if you have lost a case, you are given 2 weeks to appeal, 14 days. But they never mentioned whether they wanted to appeal. The only thing they wanted was they wanted the judge to give them 45 days to clear that issue. The judge refused. You know, if the judge would have given them 45 days, a lot of students from poor families would terminate their education. Because in those 45 days, students would be told either to clear the fees or go home. And clearing the fees would mean that don't remain, don't let even a single shilling remain, because after 45 days you don't know how the case would go. So they wanted the case to them to be given 45 days to clear or whatever, targeting the students. That is very much unfortunate, but Justice Chacha Mwita should be congratulated. Now, this is my reaction to the whole saga, the whole student-based, the so-called. Actually, the government would want it to be called student-centered, but it is not student-centered. It is something else. So this is my reaction about that. The biggest problem is the attitude of one William Samoei Arap Ruto. If he changes things, things will go well. People disagreeing with you are not naysayers. Kenya is a democratic country. Don't call them naysayers. Don't call them mapepo. There is something they are seeing. And there is no good advisor. Okay, can I rephrase that? There is no worst advisor than the advisor whom you pay. It reaches an extent, the advisor feels that he or she, if he or she has to tell you something that you are strongly believing, then you'll sack her or him. But if you get an advice from somebody who is not in your pay, and additionally, if that person is your supporter, there's somebody who can give you advice because he wants you to fail or is a supporter of your competitor. But in this case, you are getting an advice from somebody who is your supporter free of charge. Kindly listen to it. Not all undertaking succeeds. Not all undertaking succeeds. And if you consult people, if you put people in the case and they reach somewhere and the undertaking fails, people will understand you. But if you go there and say, nothing will stop me and whatever, when you succeed, you'll get a lukewarm response. But if you fail, they'll blame you. But if you involve people, you consult people and whatever, if you fail, then they will understand with you. And that is why I keep on saying that Archbishop Olesepit said that it doesn't make you any less a person when you reach somewhere and call people and say, I promised you during my campaign 5 things and I can only fulfill 2. And I can't attempt the 3rd one and so on. Kindly allow for alternative thoughts. Sit down. Sit down with the people, talk to them. Allow those you employ to do their job. Uh, we are age mates. We were born in the 60s, me and the president. We are in what in Bukusu called Chuma Meto, Chuma age group. But okay, I don't know whether the Kalenjin Chumo is the same with that one of those born in the 60s. But among the Bukusus, Chuma age group, we are the ones. Uh, I'm not for the idea for you to be what basically one can call a prime cabinet secretary. Please don't be a prime cabinet secretary, in that you're handling everything from every department. If it is issues of SHA, kindly let the CS for health handle SHA. If it is issue of help, I did not and I will never support the idea where you had a town hall meeting with young men trying to talk about various things such as SHA, such as help, and whatever. You gave somebody the Ministry of the Ministry of Health. Let her do the SHA thing. You gave somebody the Ministry of Education. Let him handle the help. If he fails, you can show him the door. But you being in it, and I want to remind you, Brother William, when we were teenagers, the president of Kenya was Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And when Mzee Jomo Kenyatta was the president, of course, very few people had black and white TVs, but people had radios. When the president was talking on radio, people used to leave what they were doing. They would stop what they were doing and they will go to, you could even see somebody, a stranger entering your house, just to listen to what Jomo Kenyatta was saying. Kindly, if you can listen to me, reduce your press appearances. You have very many spokesmen. You have very many spokesmen who can talk for you. During Jomo Kenyatta's time, I think, did we really have a government spokesman? I doubt. But let it be that when you talk, let it be like Jomo Kenyatta. When somebody knows that the president has talked, they go near the TV because they know that for the president to talk, there is something that is happening and they would listen to it. Uh, on the other side, Moi was always on the radio and Moi was in every part of the country. You know, being quiet and being off the air, you speak more than when you are on air all the time. Because one Sunday, and that was on a February, I can't recall the year. There is one February that Moi did not appear in church on that week. It became a story because he was always on the press. I don't think that there is a time when Ruto spends 48 hours before addressing the nation. Please reduce the number of addressing. And let me tell you, I have no access to you, but I hope this one reaches you. Let me tell you the truth about help. The moment we realize the problem with help is the moment we will treat it. If we don't realize the problem with help, it's like going to the hospital. You are suffering from this kind of sickness, and the doctor is treating you another kind of sickness with the same symptoms. At the end of the day, you'll find that. Because the case has, assuming The government appeals the case. And I'll tell you what the students are facing in the university. Okay, because when the case was taken to court, there was a notice that was sent to, if you go to anniversary towers at the HELB offices, you'll find that HELB has said, because of the case that is ongoing, we have ceased doing our work until the outcome of the case. So it is continuing. The trick that the government side was using for asking for 45 days was within the 45 days to squeeze out all the monies from the students whom they have stopped within 45 days. Now, Mr. President, you want to go to history as being the person who did that to university students during his time? I'll tell you everything. I'll tell you everything how it is and how the whole problem is. It's just like being in the hospital. You tell the doctor everything. You hide one thing, the doctor gives a wrong prescription. So I'll tell you the truth so that you give the prescription knowing the whole truth. Nothing but the truth. In the intake of 2023, over 2,000 students were admitted to the university who were underage. Who were underage. There was a problem. There was a problem. Because when they were admitted into the university while they were underage, they could not fill in the help form. Because by law, there is no contract that can be signed between somebody who has not taken the ID and any other whatever. Now, again, they came up and said, no, the parents or guardians of such a people will sign for the student. You see, this is also wrong because the education of this underage child is now being determined by another person. Suppose the guardian and whatever doesn't want to commit himself, because you are committing yourself that so long as the student has not yet reached 18 years, up to the time when he'll reach 18 years, that is the time when he or she will now be contracted with help. But then the person will say, why should you follow me later when that kid refuses to pay the first year or even second year fees? You are turning to me. You want me to pay for that. Why? And if you go to the student will say, I became an adult on my third year. Third year is when I became 18 years. So the third year, what do you call the third year contract? I'll sign. For the year, but first year, you walked into a problem. We have lost somebody where I come from called Mukwami Stevie. He went to school. When he was joining Form 5, his age mates were joining Form 1. Why? Because of two things. One, those years, we even had people who were joining Standard 1 when they were 12 years. And he joined Standard 1 when he was an underage, 6 years. So when he joined Form 5, his age mates were joining Form 1. And he was maybe a decade older than me. And I studied him. And from that time up to today, I have come to a conclusion that any student who goes to school early, underage, performs better than the one who goes to school overage. Very few overage people go beyond Form 4. Overage people are very lazy in studies, but underage people, you may even find somebody graduating with a master's degree, and he says that I don't remember life without going to classes. I don't remember life when I'm going to, before because I I I gained consciousness when I was already in class. Such people are usually very intelligent. And I want to ask any of my viewers, including the president, look at your class, standard 1 to form 6, or if you are 8 for 4 to form 4. Look at those people in your class, age-wise. Look at their position, class positions. You'll find that many of them are those who are below age. They used to be among the top in the class, top genius. Now, Mr. President, these 2,000 kids who went to university for 2023, I don't know about the 2024. It could be, okay, double that. Well, up to 5,000 students joined university. They're having problems. They are staying in towns that, take yourself, you are 15 years. Yes, you are 15 years. And during our time, Mr. William, Dr. William, during our time, we used to say, you could just say the year you were born. But nowadays, a kid cannot even steal a day because he or she is joining the university with a birth certificate. 16 years. That is what happened to the 2,000. Now the second year, there are 4,000 plus. They have joined the university. They are 16 years. They are taken to far-flung universities. Kisii University, for example. A kid is supposed to, at 16 years, the kid, like Kisii University, they took how many? They took 7,000. They called, those who were called were 8,000. Those who reported were 7,000. Now somebody is taken to Kisii. Maybe he was born and educated in Mombasa, goes to Kisii. Kisii University has over 20,000 students with 500 hostels. So joining Kisii University definitely is a outside hostel. A kid who is 16 years goes to look for a hostel. This kid is supposed to cook for himself or herself. Hostels are 5,000 shillings. You know, it is good to talk about an issue where you know somebody particularly. So when I talk, I'm talking about somebody I know or people I know. That child, this year, they were denied even that boom. Yes. Imagine that 16-year-old kid was not given boom. And when the parents go to anniversary tower, they are shown a paper that is pinned on the wall. They are shown a notice that is pinned on the wall that help is not going to disperse funds for those kids until the case comes out. Now, these are the kids that Ruto's lawyers in court was telling Chacha Mwita, give us 50 days to sort out these things. These are the kids whom, without an ID, even when the boom was coming, they were not given the boom. They don't. One was in 7% first year. Now second year, he has been pushed to band 5, band 4, to pay 30%. And Ruto's lawyers were telling the Justice Chacha Mwita that kindly, with your good Christian heart, give us 45 days to do whatever. It was going to, they were going to get 45 days to go and squeeze the kids from. A student who joined the university and was told that 7% of 300, that is Bachelor of Education, 7% is 7%, that is 21,000. Goes to second year, is told you are now 30%. Now you have moved from 7,000 you are supposed to pay 80,000. You are supposed to pay 80,000. And so they were asking Chacha Mwita for permission to go and eject those kids. And Ruto himself said that the university model was brought in to save the universities. Now, I don't know how. I did 3 maths. In Form 4, I did maths alternative S, and I did alternative, and I did additional maths, and in Form 6, I did maths. I don't know how this maths comes in when if the judge would have given them 50 days they were asking for, if they would have chased out of those students not to go to school, how the universities would have gotten their money. Because President Ruto is saying that if we don't allow the new system, then the universities will collapse. I'll tell you how the universities are collapsing and will collapse. But do you want to tell me that giving because if for any example, if the courts would have allowed the government to deal with the issues in 50 days, there was only a simple thing. Students would be forced to clear. Imagine a student who paid 21,000 now being told to pay 80,000. 30% of, no, 90. 30% of 300 is 90,000. And this is a student who paid 7% the first year, has been moved to 30%. And they were just looking for those 50 days. It is good that the judge did that, because the students cannot be now chased, because it will be breaking that is contempt of court. Now Ruto has to start afresh. Or if he doesn't start afresh, within 2 weeks, the government will appeal. Within 2 weeks, the government will appeal, and the case will start again at the Court of Appeal. If the government appeals, today is when? 22nd December. If the government appeals in 2 weeks, that is around the first week of January. So they'll complete the case in February, which means that this academic year will go through. And so the student who the court ordered the cessation of the case, and he was supposed to pay 90,000 second year, he's going to the third year and he's supposed to pay another 180. Mr. President, wewe sio Uhuru Kenyatta na wewe sio Gideon Moi. You know how a grass-touched smoke inatoka kwa watoto kama hao, and you expect that kid next year atoe 180,000, and you have not counted what he will or she will use in accommodation, in other facilities, because the university only teaches. If the university is like Kisii, where there's only 500 beds for hostel, that kid will have to look for a rental house, and the cheapest student, what do you call, private hostel in Kisii is 5,000. You have not added 2,000 money for Wi-Fi, because the student will have to buy a Wi-Fi into his room. You'll not expect a student to be in the campus at midnight using the free university, what do you call, Wi-Fi. So that is what is happening. That is what is happening. Because the longer the case goes, the kids from the poor people do not know whether, if the case ends up in let's say the kid is in the third year or even the fourth year, if the kid will now be asked for the 3 years to pay 90, that is 270,000 shillings. Which families can pay that? If it was coming from Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, or if it was coming from Gideon Moi, you would have understood. But son of Sugoi, ama uliruka daraja na unataka kuondoa daraja, maskini wenzako wasiruke. Now, I know the sometimes when you talk emotional, I know the universities are bankrupt. Now, for my viewer who is reading the, in the newspapers and TV stations, they only have 5 minutes article. The universities are bankrupt because of the following reason. Let me start with the system of last year. Last year, they placed the universities in four bands. Four bands. The first band, the university pays everything. Not the university, HELB pays everything. And the student would never uh, be asked anything. I'll tell you about that band one. Band two also, HELB pays everything, but the student, there is some amount that when the student starts working, he or she will repay back to HELB. Then there is band three and band four. Band three and band four, the household pays 7%. Let me tell you without any doubt, no household has refused to pay 7%. What households are against is a letter secretly came from State House, went to Anniversary Towers, I'll talk about it, and said, do this and this. And then the universities were told by Anniversary Towers, HELB, that move students, place them in the 5 grades, 5 bands. And you see, up to now, nobody is in band one and band two. Everybody is placed in band, and even band three, everybody is placed in band four and band five. But I'll come to that. I'll come to that. Bear with me with your bundles, because the ukweli lazima izungumzwe. The universities are broke because there is money that the university is supposed to get. Parents are supposed to send 7%. Actually, hata tukienda kwa ukweli, this the government should pay everything, and they not even in form of scholarship or anything. Let them pay everything 100% in form of loans. Yes, loans. Yeah, let them pay in form of loans. Then when the students start working, they pay the loan. That I'm okay with it. But you see, where the problem is coming is this. If you look at the instance where the government is paying 7% of the whatever, it's because the household is paying 7%. The government is supposed to pay 93. Now, out of the 93, band 4 and band 5, the difference is that band 4, the government gives more scholarship and less loan. But band 4, it is the vice versa of band 3. One, the government pays the scholarship more than the loan, and the other one, the government pays more loan than scholarship. So they both add up to 93. And then the household pays. So you find that households are very much up to date in paying the 7%. They are very much up to date. They don't have that problem. The problem comes in the university is budgeted to use the 100%. So university only gets the 7%, which is paid by the students. The 93, the government will just, if you go to what the president is saying that so many universities were more than half were about to go bankrupt, is because the finance office of every university with the Ministry of Finance, they just agree. Oh, the government, yeah. The government agrees, okay, we have your 2 billion, yeah. Wacha watoto wasome. We'll pay the 2 billion. The year ends, we'll pay 2.5 billion. We'll have, their money is piling up. And these students, I can tell you the truth. These students, after they graduate, the government will start HELB will start deducting their HELB loans, and yet they are not giving those universities. Mr. President, if you want these universities not to fail, I have looked at it in 3 ways. I have looked at it left, I have looked at it right, and I'm coming up with a central question. These universities are running bankrupt because they have no money. If you tell students to pay and they come from poor families, they'll not pay. They'll terminate their education. And if they terminate their education, will the bankrupt universities run? No. It is even better for them to study and graduate and then start looking for that money when the university still holds their certificates. Now, the other thing is for the government to pay its part. You see, the government, the universities don't run on promissory notes. Yes, universities, we have your 2 billion. Okay, endelea na kusoma. That is why when we have this case, you'll discover that if there are two teams. There is the case that was before Chacha Mwita, and then there is that committee that was started by the president, where everybody was there, the student leadership, the university, and whatever. You will have noticed that the university, administration are pushing for the whatever model, five kizungu inaruka. So the university are pushing for that because there is no five groups. I'm trying to look for the name, lakini nimeanza kushindwa. There is no five groups that they are there. There are 3. 1 and 2 are imaginary. Have you ever come across any student who claims to be the first or one or 2? Everybody is placed in 3, 4, and 5. So they used to be 4, and then they were changed to 5. The person who was in number 4 was placed in number 5. The person who was in number 3 was placed in number 4. The one who was in number 2 was number 2 and number 1, they were placed in number 2. Number 3, sorry. And number 1 and number 2 are vacant. That is the trick that people are doing. Abracadabra. And the university, if you look at them, in the case of before Chacha Mwita, and in the case of that, I don't know what we call that group which was formed to come up with a figure. The universities are pushing for the 5-grade model because the universities, let us take for the case of this kid who was paying 21,000 per year. Now the kid has been pushed to 90,000. How many kids are there in the university? Kisii University took in 7,000. Now, those 7,000, they were paying, let's say, 21,000. Now they are paying 90,000. How much? Imagine each of the 7,000. The amount is how much? The amount is paying 21. Okay, let us say 20. Now it's been pushed to 90. That is 70,000. Now 70,000, let us say 5,000 students. 90,000 for 5,000 students. That is 4.5 million shillings. So the universities want that because they want, you see, the difference between 30 and 27, between 30 and 7 is 23. The university knows that the government will not give them money. They'll just give them promissory notes. But they would want 23 to be transferred to the students so that 23 to be transferred to the students so that the university has more cash to buy stationaries, to pay watchmen, to pay for electricity, to pay whatever. That is where the problem is. Your Excellency, just, I don't know, hata kama ni kwenda ng'ambo ukope hiyo pesa, go and pay the university the amount. and you'll find that no university, no student, because these are the two things. If you stick to the old system, the universities will fall and the students will have nowhere to go to study. And if you stick to the new one, uh, if the students go to the new one, the students, you'll find a lot of students getting out of school, and the universities will go bankrupt. So please go find money somewhere. If it is World Bank, just go and get a special loan and go and clear with the universities. I can tell you, if you clear with the universities today, the background, students education will go on, and the universities students will not lack classes, and universities will not lack money. Finally, let me talk about the banding. The banding system is a con. I know when these people are asked, they come up with stories. Oh, students go to the cyber and no, 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 no. Mr. Isaac Mwaura, students don't go to cyber nowadays. In fact, if you look at the people who used to go to cybers a long time ago, they used to be, the cybers used to be filled up with people. Nowadays, people don't go to the cybers. Each and every student who got a C plus and above has a laptop. And what they do, they they they, they contribute, and they find it even cheaper. They contribute and buy Wi-Fi. They buy Wi-Fi. That is what they do. You you know this is the problem. I remember, especially my father Lando. I don't know about other fathers. He was a very strict disciplinarian, and whenever I appeared before him, he was the prosecutor and he was the judge, and I was the accused. There are occasions he could confront me and tell me things, and we were not on the on the same level. He was the prosecutor, he was the judge, and he was the prisons officer, because we would talk while he had a stick next to him. It is really hard to